As South Korea's political uncertainty subsides after former President Yoon's dismissal last Friday, and with acting President and Prime Minister Duck-soo in full command of the nation's foreign affairs, the first leader-level talks with the U.S. took place on Tuesday. We have our Oh Soo-young, who is at the Prime Minister's office at the Sejong Government Complex. Good morning, Sooyoung.
Good morning to you, Dami.
So, Sooyoung, the two leaders held quite a lengthy phone call, didn't they? Let's go over the highlights.
Sure, Dami, it was quite lengthy indeed. It was around 28 minutes, according to the acting president's office. And the phone conversation marked the first top-level talks between Seoul and Washington since President Trump came into power, as you mentioned. And the call also came around 16 hours ahead of Trump's 25% reciprocal tariffs targeting South Korea. That could, of course, significantly impact its export-driven industries. That's actually on top of the 25% tariffs on steel and aluminium levied last month. Han's office said the two leaders agreed to continue ministerial-level dialogue and economic cooperation on issues such as the allies' trade balance. As such, Han underscored South Korea's willingness to deepen cooperation in three key sectors: shipbuilding, liquefied natural gas, and addressing the bilateral trade imbalance. On the security front, Han called for stronger unity on North Korea, stressing that the Allies' resolve, as well as the international community's, on North Korea's denuclearization must outweigh Pyongyang's ambitions. The two leaders reaffirmed their commitment to the South Korea-U.S. military alliance and agreed to closely coordinate on North Korea policy, while also advancing their trilateral cooperation with Japan.
Of course, the phone call was full of formalities, but reading between the lines, what message, Sooyoung, do you think the leaders were trying to get across amid trade tensions?
Well, I mean, it seems that both leaders could be angling for a trade deal. In an interview with CNN just hours before the phone call, acting President Duck-soo called for a win-win deal with President Trump, saying that Seoul has no intention of retaliating against U.S. tariffs, unlike countries like China and Japan. He proposed what he called a, quote, cool negotiation, expressing confidence that friends and allies could reach a mutually beneficial deal that could prompt Washington to recalibrate its trade policies. Meanwhile, President Trump took to his social media Truth Social after the call, describing what he called a great phone call with Han. He said they discussed South Korea's, quote, tremendous and unsustainable trade surplus, as well as tariffs, LNG deals, a joint Alaska pipeline venture, and the cost of stationing U.S. troops onto the Korean peninsula. Trump claimed that South Korea began paying billions in contributions towards military costs during his first term, but that deal was terminated by, quote, sleepy Joe Biden. However, his claim doesn't really align with facts. A new defense cost-sharing agreement was reached last October under the Biden administration, under which South Korea will increase its contribution by 8.3% starting next year, with annual increases based on inflationary growth. And that really marks a significant financial commitment by Seoul. Despite some sticking points, the U.S. president said there is room and potential for a great deal that could benefit both countries. He expressed his preference for a one-stop shopping deal, which refers to bundling trade, defense, and industrial cooperation into one single sweeping deal. Now, Trump further noted that Seoul and Washington's trade officials are to engage in talks, noting that South Korea's, quote, top team was already coming to Washington. And that, of course, refers to Seoul's Trade Minister Chung In-gyo to meet with U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer during his two-day trip to D.C. Now, after the call, several high-ranking officials, including National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett, said that Trump gave orders to prioritize reciprocal tariff negotiations with allies such as Korea and Japan.
All right, Sooyoung, let's see what happens over in D.C. Thank you for your coverage as always.